Hey guys, how's it going? Jason Sensational here. Welcome back to the channel. So for today, we have the third and final champion reveal of the set. We have Ryze finishing off the trio of Kale as well as Aatrox. And Ryze is definitely one of the most interesting champions of the bunch. So I'm not going to spoil it, but just as a quick note, after this video, you can probably expect one last video regarding the new cards from the expansion before the expansion actually releases. And that's just going to be me rating every single card on a scale from 1 through 5, just like I did on the previous expansion. But nonetheless, we're here to see some sick ass animations. We're here to see Ryze in his full capacity. Let's jump into it. All right, show what you got.
Power changes everyone. I long for the day when this is over.
All right, so just really quickly, Ryze 4 mana 3/5 Runeterra champion. His origin allows him to put any non-targeted burst and focus spells into your deck during deck building. At the start of your turn, create 2 Delve in the Past in your deck, which is, kind of what he does. But any non-targeted burst or focus spells. So this is most likely the draw cards, Guiding Touch. No, wait, that doesn't work because that's targeted. Okay, so you can't play Guiding Touch, but like Time Trick, Feral Prescience, just like predict spells, draw spells, like Eye of Nagaboros, right? These all fit into this sort of category. And it makes sense because his actual game plan is this sort of draw through your deck, predict combo kind of style of deck. When he's summoned around start, create 2 Delve in the Past in your deck, level up IC 3+ unique world runes. I see. And then Delve in the Past is this thing. So this is what you shuffle into your deck at both at the start of the game because of your origin, as well as on summon and round start because of Ryze. And it allows you to, is a 2 mana spell. It allows you to choose one of 2 world runes that you don't have in play or in hand to create in hand, and if you can't, draw 1. So it actually has a contingency, right? There's total 5 world runes. Ryze needs to see 3 to level up, and if you have all 5, this is just 2 mana draw.
Sought freedom, but found only the void. Keep your distance.
Wait, where'd the frostbite come from?
We don't have enough time.
I gotta play Avalanche, huh?
Their power bent your will, but they cannot doom the rest.
And I think one cool thing to notice is that once you play a world rune, any other world runes that you have on board activate again. Now they have an on-play effect, and then I'll go through what the cards do at the very end. But you notice that like on the Shard of Madness, it has an on-play effect, which is it creates a rune prison in hand, or it'll reduce the cost of it if you have it by 1. But then when it's also played, if I'm unique, activate all your other world runes. And of course, once you play like all 5 world runes, the 5th one will activate all the other 4, right? So it's like this kind of cool sort of like scaling-esque kind of engine combo.
Madness, but the people can be saved. I cannot stand by in the face of apocalypse.
Wait, hang on.
The madness, but the people can be saved. I cannot stand by in the face of apocalypse.
That was deceptively simple. I think like a lot of again, like I feel like the animations, at least this set, have been super simple, right? You notice this like absolute fantastic transition between his level 1 card art into his level 2 card art, right? Like look at it, starts in his like it's just absolutely like flawless transition between his level 1 and his level 2, even like with the card art. Like it starts in this like, it starts with his face angled off and then his face is centered, and of course like the absolute fantastic first second where you have his realm warp sort of animation circle around him. Like it's hard, you can't hate on these animations, right? They're fantastic. They are just super simple, which is I for better or for worse, I don't know, but it's really cool how they're like approaching animations this set, right? I do think it's a little. I think this one's just a tad too simple for me, but I think it's like between like the like the actual animation around the card and then the transition between the level up itself. It's pretty cool. But Ryze, when he levels up, so he has to see 3 world runes first, right? So you play 3 Delve into the Past, you play 3 world runes, and then he has the same when I'm summoned around Start Crate 2. How do these typos keep going in? But it creates 2 more Delve in the Past, right? And then on attack, activate all your world runes. Okay, so he himself also does this as well. I didn't read this the first time I looked at it, but if you have all 5 unique world runes, you win the game essentially on the attack, right? So it's like this Watcher-esque thing where it obliterate your whole deck, and then but this just kills your opponent, right? It's like Star Spring, it's like Fiora, it's like this alternate win con, right? And if you don't have all 5, it just activates your world runes, and then it gives you a little bit extra value, a little bit extra time. That's actually pretty good. I didn't read this part first, and of course he has, or not of course, but he also has Spell Shield, right? Which enables him a little bit easier to either A, attack in order to activate your world runes, or just have some extra protection to hit the enemy nexus, right? Or I mean, you don't even need to hit the enemy nexus, just need to attack.
Final lesson that I alone must bear this burden. War, it breaks the best of
and
us.
then like Steel Tempest.
Curse these fools. They have no idea.
Honestly, kind of sick.
If we are to thrive, we must truly be free.
The Rune Mage, come to watch his precious world die.
No.
How do you get Harsh Winds? What?
Whatever it takes.
How did he get Harsh Winds? I'm so confused. You can't play Harsh Winds in your deck.
Show me the path.
Oh, he's playing with Freljord, of course.
Pursuit of love, warrant the end.
Okay, just to clarify, so I'm not an absolute idiot. He's just playing Freljord with Ryze, so you can run cards like Entreat, and obviously you can run Freljord or like Harsh Winds because you are in Freljord, right?
Of reason. Let's go. Let's go. Now you will understand. I pray you will not need me again.
Okay.
Now you will understand. I pray you will not need me again.
I don't know if that like really makes sense to me. Just because like his whole thing, he wants to destroy the world runes, right? But then how does that mean your opponent's dying? But like nonetheless, I mean, animation wise, I think that's like quite cool. It's a little bit fast. I feel like it could add like be a little bit slower, but I'm just nitpicking on weird things right now. But when you've seen these cards, his champ spell is a draw 3 for 3, discards any followers drawn. Which makes sense, right? He's this sort of draw oriented combo deck where we want to find 5 Delve in the Past to find the 5 world runes, and all these are spells, right? I think also really cool to mention that was shown in the actual trailer is that his origin allows you to put any of the Tellstones in your deck, right? So Tellstones are a good way to kind of go around the fact that you can't actually play target spells. So if you want things like, Ritual of Renewal or like Gruesome Theater, you can run that with the Ionian Tellstones. If you want to play things like some more interaction like the Streaming Tellstones, you have the Ruthless Predator off of that, right? So Tellstones is a pretty fantastic way to kind of circumvent the fact that you can't put any like targeted spells, but sort of just like walk around it, right? Now let's talk about the 5 world runes. So you have Shard of Violence. The first one is a draw 1. So each of the Tellstones has an on play effect, and then they can all be activated again, either with level 2 Ryze or when another unique world rune is played. Shard of Violence is a draw 1. Shard of Betrayal is a deal 2 to the weakest enemy, which is a skill, so it doesn't happen at burst, which is something to be like, to be aware of. Shard of Reverence is a refill to spell mana, and then Shard of Hope heals allied Ryzes and Nexus by 2. Shard of Madness creates a Rune Prison, which is essentially Steel Tempest, and if you already have one in hand, reduces cost by 1. So the big thing for me was that this is all very expensive, right? You have to pay 4 mana per landmark. Granted that, you know, every one that you play after the first one, you get a double dip on the effects, right? My original worry was that it's a little bit too slow, but seeing Ryze level 2 also being able to activate your other world runes as well gives me a lot more confidence, because you can again double dip on them, right? All of a sudden, like, you can double up on like Shard of Reverence, for example, right, and refill its 2 spell mana, and then that discount might allow you to just cheat out a lot of that mana that you need to like, pull off this combo, right? Because essentially you need 10 spell mana and then 10 actual unit mana to essentially pull off your combo, and then of course pay 4 mana for Ryze, right? And then not to mention any spell you need to draw through your deck to find the Delve in the Past. But with the world runes, like especially like Shard of Reverence, to refill some of that spell mana, and you know, you have some okay-ish stall. You have Shard of Betrayal that deals to the weakest, you have the Rune Prison, and you have some draw and heal, right? So this is definitely a champion that you can't really gauge the power level of this without actually getting to see it in play. Now, of course, anything that says like win the game, it has like a certain power level to it, where this will obviously just beat any control deck, right? At least even any deck with landmark removal. Well, if like say you like spend 4 mana to play Hellstones into Aftershock, which is pretty common right now because of things like a bar being around, right? So pay 4 mana to destroy landmark. That's at most stalling like 1 or 2 turns, right? It might stall 2 turns actually, because Ryze actually needs to attack, which is really important. So it might stall you 2 turns. But this is easily like replaceable, right? At a certain point in time, you just have extra Delve in the Past. You'll have extra mana to play out the world runes, and landmark removal all of a sudden just is sort of a non-issue, right? That being said, you can interact with Ryze, you can kill Ryze, you can stun Ryze. If they're not like running rallies, for example, in their deck, right? They can't win on your attack turn, right? So there are downsides to this combo, but the world runes themselves are essentially like non-issues, right? That's not something I think anyone is or should be trying to counter by like destroying them, albeit it might buy you enough time to sort of win, right? If you destroy the world rune and then all of a sudden they can't like finish the game on their attack, they have to wait 2 turns essentially, right? So it's a very interesting sort of approach to a combo aspect of the deck. A very high deck building cost where you want to basically all in on Ryze. This isn't a champion that you just splash in your deck for value. I think that's way too slow. Albeit I think that could be super interesting, but just the fact that you can't actually run targeted spells really eliminates a lot of the control aspect of a champion like this. So I really envision Ryze just fitting into this all-in kind of combo deck, and really depending on the build, the speed, the meta, we'll see how he kind of slots in. But now that I've actually seen it in action, and that I've actually figured out that Ryze activates his world runes on attack and not just destroy the enemy nexus, I think this could actually be really interesting, because this might be enough to refund you enough mana, but then maybe it only attacks once. Like realistically, you play 3 world runes, you attack, you might get 2 attacks out, maybe you only get 1 before you win the game. So it's not actually that much of a refund. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's the one where you draw 1 extra card, you deal 2 extra damage, and you refill 2 extra mana, right? And then maybe that's all of a sudden enough to stabilize the game or get to your win con. So it's very interesting, right? Super, super cool design. There's decent counterplay to it, despite it being sort of this like I win on the spot. Still probably very polarized into control decks that, generally speaking, don't actually have ways of interacting with this very well. And I am quite curious, because like you could just play like Mist Call, right? Like if Ryze is your only unit, you just play Mist Call, and then even if they kill it, you bring it back and have Spell Shield, right? Because you can just slot. Oh no, it's Burst and Focus. Never mind. You can't run Mist Call. But I think there's probably some decent cards that you can run. Someone compiled like a complete list of it. We might review that sometime in the future. But I think it's very interesting overall. And when it comes to deck building, or at least origin wise, I do think this is the most flexible origin that we've ever had so far. And I think that this pool of cards is like at least 50 plus. So very, very excited for Ryze. I do think he is my most excited, or I'm the most excited for this champion out of the bunch now. But I'm very curious to see how this slots into the meta. But that's just my initial review. I'll take another day or two, and then we'll review all the cards together, and then I'll try to give some final verdicts on how I rank some of these cards. But super interested, super cool, super excited for the set. And now that we've seen all 3 champions, you know, animations out of the park, everything looks really cool. Super excited for expansion coming up this Wednesday, which is the 7th of December, I believe. So stay tuned. Hope you guys are excited as I am, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, guys. Have a good one.